And welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us this fine Sunday. I am Zach, otherwise known as Great Zamino, and as per usual, every other Sunday, we are playing The Hole in the World, our Invisible Sun actual play here at Manapot Studios. I am joined once again by all of my lovely cast members, starting with who's playing Gavriel.
Hey, it's Marcy, aka Experimental Madness, playing your girl, the ardent iconoclast apostate that hosts a choir. And I'm starting out this game still with that one anguish hanging over my head.
Yes. Also, I was going to say, yeah, we are going to be reminding everybody where everybody stands in terms of their vitality, just because it can be a little bit hard to keep track of with all of the surreality flying around us.
It's not like we don't get hurt at all, ever.
No, never. Couldn't ever see that happening. Yeah, and below her, playing Maurice.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bill. I'm playing Maurice, who is a stalwart empath of the Order of Weavers, who turns tales into reality. He took some injuries when they were confronting a murderer. And Gav shot off her hand. I can't wait to see what happens with this. So anyway,
That's how I make friends. Just
yeah.
how I say hello.
So yeah, we're just fresh from that. So Maurice still has some scratches.
I have to pause for a second. Did you call her a murderer?
A murderer.
A murderer. Okay. All right. Just making
sure. Who said anything about murder?
Yeah, because we all sell apples around here. Thanks so much for that. And once again, playing Twigg.
Hey, it's me, a hopper. Also known as fail deadly with a 3 instead of an E because I'm awful. And you can find me on most social media platforms. Whether or not I'm actually on there, who knows? But I have an account and I show up sometimes. That's all anybody really needs. I'm playing. So Twigg is a mendicant gallant apostate who eats knowledge, and I believe right now I currently am rocking a Vex to physicality, which is not as bad as a Scourge.
Excellent. Yes.
And that's because I made a weapon from my blood.
Metal. Anyway. And finally, rounding out our misfit group, playing Kyrrie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Marissa, and I play Kyrielle von Hollingsworth, who is the first assistant librarian of the Order of the Vance. She is an eremitic stoic who understands the words. She is the mother of a grimoire, the recent acquisition, a curator of King Nine's library, and has just become and obtained the rank of Velator, which means a second order Vance. She does not have any vexes or wounds at the moment, and hopes to keep it that way.
So on that note, for the people who are just joining us, who may be used to who playing Invisible Sun in real world or in the gray as we prefer, our Vance actually works a little bit different from yours at home. We've taken some time, we've overhauled the Vancian canon, as it were, to be more in line with very unique magical offerings that are kind of special for the Vance. So we've done a little bit of homebrew there. And we've also kind of changed the way the Vancian spells work, in that rather than have a spell occupy someone's mind at any given time, instead, what happens is when you cast a spell, it occupies a certain amount of that Vance's mind. So if it behaves a little bit differently from the rules that you're used to, that's why. We think it makes it a lot more fun, a lot more interesting to have a Vance that's completely unique from any other spellcaster in the game. So
yeah. And this is just a quick shout out. This was all came about as a result of the Discord on Cypher Unlimited and Invisible Sun, Monty Cook Games, and a user specifically called Salanday, I believe previously went by Voidlight, who created this amazing document about overhauling the Vancian canon. So in a great conversation with my lovely GM, we talked through it, and now we will be going with that from here on out.
Excellent. So without further ado, as we've kind of explained what's new and different about the show, let's talk about what happened last time. Old news, as it were. So, first thing that happened that we recall having the most kind of greatest effect on everybody is you guys managed to solve a mystery. One for which I forgot to award you a potential acumen. So
I think I got it. I got it last time.
So everybody got acumen per normal.
Okay.
But because you solved a mystery, you each are awarded 2 acumen for your role.
Good job, team.
Yeah,
I
And
was mostly tagging along. Does that include me?
I think so. I think that counts.
Oh,
you're the
man.
one that managed to pull a magical blanket out of your pocket.
That is true.
Yeah, teamwork. I shot somebody, you actually saved the day, and then Maurice did all the work.
Exactly.
Why
And-
does that sound like this entire party in general?
and
Hey, speak for yourself.
You were being a good student.
now, not to cheese this at all, but also for attaining the rank of Velator, and so you don't fall too far behind here, I am also awarding you 2 acumen, Kyrrie. So
Yay.
keep that in mind. I assume that going forward we might have more mysteries wherein all of the Visley are involved, so we'll kind of play it by ear until that point, but still, everybody made a really big achievement last episode. Kyrrie, you became a Velator. You not only became a Velator, you became a Velator with the blessing of the Supreme Magus, who actually was you were brought to their attention by virtue of the fact that Twigg actually ended up pointing out something that had been needling their mind for a long time, the idea of that there is a hole in the world of the actuality, and that it is high time that somebody start putting their finger on exactly what that is. So we're gonna ignore that anyway. I see that face. So anyhow, you did that, but you also had a kind of a nasty run-in with your sister, who Allegra, who is going to be ascending to the court of Nois, and she wants no obstacles in her way, blood relation or otherwise.
Very bad news bears.
Yeah. Pretty much that's kind of what's stamped on her forehead is bad news bears for Allegra. Meanwhile, everybody else solved a mystery. You guys were investigating the apparent framing of Tristan Farn by some source. Basically, a lot of people believe that he was too, by reputation, too good to commit a murder, or kind of it's outside of his character. And you guys managed to catch Ella Ganadel, the sister of the murdered victim, Choa Ganadel, in her bookstore, and managed to cause her to have enough of a flight response that she attacked y'all, triggering the defensive shot of one very epically capable sniper who managed to take off her hand before she could cast any more nasty spells at y'all. In the same breath, Maurice, you kind of found that you had some really interesting new facilities and abilities available to you that you had not taken on consciously before. So,
And they didn't go very well. I actually got effects to my intellect pool and a flux effect because I rolled a 0, and I have a splitting headache.
yeah, but at the same time, it's basically your eyes were a little bit bigger than your stomach, and you ended up reaching out with this power that's unique to you, and it snapped back, but you now know that ability is there. If you can try it again and succeed, who's to say what this could lead to? And not only that, so you guys managed to cause a bit of a stir outside of this bookstore in the Topiary district. It was a pretty grim scene, at which point the Garant and Joe, his assistant, arrived. Hyla Strom, the Garant of the Topiary district, And with an inculpable aura aiding them, Twigg, you were able to negotiate your way into the Garrett's office, where you guys together explained the circumstances. And it was found after a more thorough investigation had taken place by the Garrett's officers that essentially Ella had been trafficking in magic uniquely dark, essentially unique to the red, unique to the dark, demon faceted, and it's speculated that perhaps she would have joined the Church of Midnight if she had been able to successfully escape. And it is after this kind of conclusion of the investigation, with the reward of a mage coin and an Olari rod, which Slipping Jack requested from you, that you guys now find yourselves outside of the Garrett's office. And we're going to pick up in media res. You are, I assume, all kind of waiting. I believe, Maurice, you are looking to speak to Ella now that the capacity for danger has been put behind you, and you've learned so much interesting information about things like the night side and about the Church of Midnight, which seems to be a kind of mysterious organization that tends to corrupt people, let's say. So that's kind of the vibe that you get.
About what part of the day is it?
I'd say this was a pretty active day for you guys. It's kind of it's early evening, let's say, because I know that you guys went to lunch and then went to the Ganadel's bookstore.
So we just spoke with Kyrrie, who had given us the mage coin, and Maurice looks at Gav and looks at Twigg and says, well, I guess that's done now. I mean, I do want to talk to her some more to figure out more. I just don't. She's in the custody. Sorry.
Are you all right?
Just having a hard time focusing. I got a really bad headache. Where do you think? Where should we go now?
Well, you don't think that the Garant might let us interrogate her on our own, do you?
Yeah, probably. Twigg, would you want to come along?
Yeah, I guess I can talk to Kyrrie later.
Yeah, I get.
It's just that this Church of Midnight is taking other Vizsla, people that don't remember who they are, people that are like us. And I would very much like to know a bit more about that.
Okay. Yeah, let's wrap up this loose end. Let's be done with it. Let's make our way back to the Garrett's office.
I would say Twigg's gonna shuffle around in their jacket and pull out a flask and hand it to Maurice.
What's this?
Twigg kind of squints at it and goes, that's either moonshine or black tea. Don't really remember.
It never hurts to ask. We aren't in the gray anymore.
Which is it?
Roll
a die. High or low?
Ooh, but I have the shiny 50-cent coin.
Uh-huh.
Oh, you get moonshine.
I think Gav sees the face that Maurice is making and then automatically just takes that.
Love it.
Stuff.
Now, because you've invoked your plentiful pockets and because it is a new day, I am going to turn a card.
It's a new day.
It's a new session. Let's put it that way.
All right, I don't have to roll yet. I roll at sunrise.
Yeah. So this one's a new one we haven't had before. It is Imprisoning Ice. Entrapment, imprisonment, danger, and conflict. are its meanings. It accentuates red and it decreases the power of blue. The very environment holds you fast when you are trapped in the ice. You cannot move and the cold threatens your life. You can't persuade the ice or trick it. You can't fight it or best it in a contest. The ice is impersonal, unrelenting, and vastly powerful, even though it's nothing more than frozen water. Unless, of course, it's more than that. Perhaps there is intelligence there. Perhaps it is not just frozen water, but a living spirit of cold, of stillness, of imprisonment. In such a case, the actions of the ice might be entirely personal. You may have brought your terrible fate down upon your own head. And this is very appropriate because the joy line for this is the PC manages to trap an opponent. The PC achieves victory in a very dangerous struggle.
How? I just continue to be
Monty Cook!
Yeah.
There's multiple steps of that where I was just like, well, that sucks. And then I was like, that's disturbing. And then I was like, that's borderline traumatic.
Oh, I love it. I love pulling a card from the Path of Sun. So yeah, I think that this is appropriate. You speak to, I'm assuming, Joe. And I don't think we necessarily need to roleplay this. I think that Joe, actually, we do kind of need to roleplay something. Yeah, so which of you is speaking to the Garrett? Or wishes to speak?
I think Maurice will take the lead.
Okay. And once again, you see Joe. Joe is kind of going over a clipboard, flipping a few kind of forms over the top of it and kind of shuffling through them, and looks up and says, "Oh, I'm glad that you did not leave. This is, it has come to our attention that you actually helped the district in another matter," and flips the sheaf of papers back to the top. Says, "It's my understanding that there was some sort of disturbance at the radio station here in the district."
Oh, right. You talked to the Saturn Songbird?
Yes. Well, we're looking very forward to her concert in a few days. It's going to be very lovely. I hear that she is going to make a special dedication.
Oh, for us?
That is what I have to assume.
Well, it's really nice.
Well, it seems that we find ourselves a little bit further into your debt. What can I do for you?
Actually, I wanted to speak with Ella. I know the investigation is closed, but I just want to know why.
I am not sure how much use she is going to be, but if you wish, we can have a supervised visit, as it were. She is still, of course, very dangerous, you realize.
She's in your custody, right?
Yes, but people who are in our custody apparently have been having an incident of breaking out.
So they have. Yeah, a supervised visit would be great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I will have a certain number of our officers here, fellow administrators. They will be standing by. You are more than welcome to visit her in the holding cells, as it were. They are makeshift, but they are sturdy. You should be in no danger, as far as I am aware.
Thank you. We won't take up too much of your time.
Oh, don't worry. I think that you've actually cleared a lot off my plate, as it were.
Oh, well, you're welcome.
Eyeless is pleased. If you wish to speak of any other work in the future, investigative, administrative, or otherwise, all you need to do is perhaps contact one of us. You know where we are, of course.
Duly noted. I think we will be back.
I look forward to it. Yep, go ahead.
Twigg is going, while this discussion is going on, after he mentions that having this had kind of cleared his plate a little bit, Twigg's going to try to sneak a croissant onto his desk.
I'm not even going to make you roll for that. I think that's just... And then... Yeah.
I have 30 I think I have like 28 more pastries to get rid of before they go. I assume, can they go stale in my pocket? I assume, right? They're still just pockets.
The last one was stale, but maybe it was stale when you put it in there.
Yeah, it might have been like slightly under par.
Yeah.
Like, would King 9 have stale pastry?
Probably
maybe
not.
one to keep you jumping.
You don't you don't have the feeling that King 9 would eat stale pastries or pastries. Maybe he would just eat a concept or an idea and just really thoroughly enjoy it.
I do kind of like the fact that like he has the ability to serve good pastries, but deliberately puts out shitty pastries.
That's pretty funny. I like that. I think that as we're walking out of Joe's office, Gav is gonna sidle up to Maurice and just sort of like whisper very casually, "How do you want to play this?"
What? Play what?
The interrogation.
I mean, I was going to ask her some questions.
Yes, but you know that she's not going to answer them just because you ask them, right? It's going to take a little bit more work than that.
I mean, maybe she's feels like sharing because she got caught and she doesn't see any future.
Why don't you appeal to that better nature? And if she doesn't talk, we'll use a little bit of theater on my end.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Okay, and I'd like actually the three of you as you're exiting. Could you make me a perception roll? You can spend NA as normal.
That's a 9.
Okay, 2 and a 9. So I think Maurice, you are taken with like the idea of, you know, kind of like, oh God, this is a more involved process. And I think that you are a far more kind of like business-like in this and kind of very professional. And so it doesn't escape your attention, Gavriel, when you see what look to be 3 or 4 spiders crawling under the door jamb of the Garant's office door.
She like does a very short, quick like whistle, like attention. I can't whistle, so sorry guys. And like nudges both Twig and Mo with her elbow, just like hey, and like tilts her head down.
Have the spiders finished crawling under? Do we see anything?
There's literally just one as it kind of slips under the door that you catch. They're very small.
And Maurice turns back to Gav and goes, "What?"
Well, the last time that there were spiders around, they both talked and delivered messages.
Yeah, to me, I could. Oh yeah, I'll talk to him. And so Maurice walks up to the door.
What? You can talk to spiders?
I mean, yeah. Can't.
What do you mean, yeah?
I've just stopped questioning it.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot that just happens that I just have to accept. Otherwise, I'll just be on an endless string of questions of why. Which, by the way, we're going to go ask someone a question why as soon as we figure this out. And Maurice goes to the Garant's door and just tries to open it.
So you just see Twig basically like a mouthful of mediocre wine. Just kind of swishing it and trying to decide whether that's a rational explanation or not.
Gav just gestures over to you, just like, listen, I found it's just much easier just to accept it, and then soon you will slip slowly into madness, and it won't matter anymore. And like, she just gives you this smile that's like, I'm dead inside.
Twig pulls out another different flask and takes a swig and is just like, that might have been in there too long.
Okay. You've opened the door real quick, and Joe kind of looks up, says, yes? At which point, Maurice, I'd like you to make another perception roll.
I will spend 2, Benny.
Okay.
Makes it a 5 all day.
5, it is a dark carpet. You are looking. You think you see a brief scuttle of movement. Joe is still kind of looking up confusedly at you. What do you do?
Maurice kind of gets down on all fours and says, Hey, where are you guys going? Hello?
At which point you just hear a polyphonic voice whispering back to you, Oi, I'm doing this for you. Stop. As if 4 voices are speaking in one. Stop blowing my cover.
I found it. Thanks, Joe. Found that I dropped the mage coin. I found it.
And
see you later.
And Joe looks up. Good. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye. And
can Maurice, after he's decided this course of action, he wants to sense motive on a group of spiders.
Yeah. How'd you do?
That is a 8 all day.
Okay. The first thing you notice, or you realize, is that voice is slipping Jack's voice.
Okay.
Except it seems to be polyphonic.
Oh, I don't like it.
Okay. And so Maurice keeps walking and walks towards the Ella's place and says, So, okay, talk to the spiders. Sounded like slipping Jack. And he said he's working for me. Should I trust him?
No.
Twigg, I need some help here.
I am just.
I mean, I think the spiders were nice.
I dislike that thing. Look. I'm pretty friendly, right? Like I don't.
No.
Well, if I don't hit you in the face with a brick, I tend to be really nice.
I think you're pretty charming, actually.
Like, like Twigg just kind of like does like this little like full body like just kind of like cooties dance. What did that thing that you got for him do anyways? I don't
know. I had to get one. I remember when I was graduating from as first level weaver, I had to get one for Zach, help me out. What's his name again?
You had to get him one for
what's my weaver guy's name?
You needed to get one for Kenroy.
Yeah. My what are they called? Dens, weaver dens.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get one for Kenroy.
Is it like Boy Scouts? You have dens?
I mean,
I'm not sure if that's an in-character person question.
I mean, dens or cells, I guess. I mean, it's very loosey-goosey. We're not into the whole like, rank 1 this, rank 2 that. Yeah.
Well, what do you think that he wants here?
Oh yeah, no, I have no idea. Should we do something about it? I mean, he seems pretty slimy, but I don't know about malicious. Look, here's an argument. He could have sold out Tristan, right?
Right.
Could have sold him out for any amount of money, but he didn't.
Well, he sold him out to you.
Oh yeah, but he kept him safe that whole time.
I mean,
it's a fair point. Well,
it's not logically invalid, I guess.
I mean, I didn't ask him to do anything for me. So
I think you see a look cross across Twigg's face where they're just like, that's a weird thing to think or say. And apparently Kyrrie rubbed off a little bit during our time in the library.
Well, I'm inclined to leave it alone. See what happens.
One crisis at a time, right?
That's right.
Worst case, we set him on fire later.
Best case, we get paid to solve whatever problem we're letting him create.
Oh, Gav, that's bad.
It is.
That's.
But it also helps us. So is it?
Oh, that's. That's bad. All right, let's go.
Maybe we'll even get paid to set him on fire.
Best of both worlds.
All right, so we cut. You guys are going, like, you're going deeper into the office, and you are escorted by a couple of administrators, other Eldebrin like Joe. They don't give you their names, but they seem to be giving you a great deal of deference and kind of treating you more like official business within the office. And you are taken to a open cell, and the cell is such that again, it's very bare bones. It's very spare. There's a cot, and seated on the cot, minus a jacket that you saw her wearing, in a black skirt and a just plain white shirt with ruffles at the shoulders, is Ella Ganadel. Her sleeve, now that you've kind of seen the damage that you've done up close, her sleeve has been pinned up to about here on the forearm, because that's about how much of her arm you removed. And she is sitting in this on this cot, kind of awaiting whatever fate lays in store for her. And she seems to have just there's a great deal of sweat that apparently must have kind of run through her makeup. She looks bedraggled. She looks sallow and pale because of all the blood loss. But apparently, where you see kind of the pinned shirt, there doesn't seem to be any blood, as if somebody removed it magically, and there doesn't seem to be any profuse bleeding, so you have to assume that under that pinned sleeve is probably a pretty reasonable triage job. But you notice that the wall, there's no wall separating you. There's no row of prison bars between you and Ella, but there is a light shimmer in the air in front of her, between you and her, as you realize that she is kept in a magical barrier of some sort. What do you do?
Hello, Ella.
And she looks up.
My name is Maurice. I'm sorry that we hurt you.
I'm sure you're sorry indeed.
I wanted to ask you why. Why would you kill your own sister?
And she looks down, and the face she makes is though she's swallowing bile. This hatred. You can feel it radiating off of her like black energy. And she looks up and back at you, and I said, as I'm a believer.
What do you believe, Ella?
I believe that everything turns to hell one way or the other.
Belief is a powerful thing. Why did you decide to make your own hell, starting with Joa and Tristan?
After the war, it was always... things were bad, yes. But it never seemed to affect her. You realize that, right? Just imagine you're going through hell. Nobody's talking to you. You just feel you've lost your parents. Nobody to rely on. No one who talks to you. Because you're always kind of the shrinking violet of the sisters. And there's just... Choa. Is always so happy. He's a charming man. And even that is bound to leave. Was gonna lose her anyway.
You thought you were helping her, avoiding the heartbreak, avoiding the inevitable breakdown of everything.
Yes, that's exactly it. Oh, so Brilliant. Great deduction. I was helping myself.
I was going to say, you sound like quite a selfish bitch. And that's like Gav will like move from like the darkened corner and just sort of like turn around, and the rifle is still across her back, and she's just staring like daggers straight at her.
And reflexively, her hand flies out, and you see this green energy fly from it. It's similar to that kind of like a pulse of energy that went through your body, Maurice, and it rebounds off of the this shimmering wall, which lights up with opacity fairly quickly, and she kind of cowers in the corner as soon as it kind of rains back down, as though reflected back towards her.
Oh, see, now this is just the exact attitude that wound you up in this prison in the first place, and all we wanted to do was have a nice chat with you in the bookstore.
Yeah, Maurice puts up his hands, kind of facing both, and says, like,
"Who are you calling bitch? You took my hand!"
I mean, it didn't have to go that way, but you did try to threaten my friend and then escape.
Let's just take it down 2 notches, huh?
What do you?
So you were helping yourself by, I guess, using Tristan to take away this source of pain for you, right?
This is to be my initiation.
To the Church of Midnight.
Yeah, it was.
What did they have over you? What was so enticing about that you would murder your own flesh and blood?
What did they have?
She wanted to do it.
Very astute. And she sits back. Kind of, once again, the fear kind of falling off of her.
You still have something to look forward to, don't you? You're convinced that your initiation rite is complete.
I figure they're one for sacrifice. Corruption. Whatever they believe in, whatever dark. I figured that would be suitably impressive.
And they would care enough to come for you, to break you out, to give you a second chance at tearing everything down?
Who's to say? Make an interaction roll for me.
Can I assist in that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is
So
this... yeah.
Well, any
Twigs-
of you can make an interaction roll, by the way.
So I just want to assist. Like, Twig's just gonna pipe in and go, like, what kind of dipshit joins a group and murders for them without knowing what they believe?
And she says,
Like, it's kind of an earnest question, but also fuck this person.
she looks at you and she says, I've been to the Confederacy of Cloisters, to the Cathedral of Midnight. They helped me. I know what they believe in.
Kind of sounded like, really doesn't sound like you do.
Yeah,
You're
actually,
like, it might.
all
Oh,
of
I guess I should.
all you
roll.
make interaction rolls. If
I
you
rolled
like.
a 6.
6? Okay.
All right, we'll spend a bene on that.
3.
That's a 9. So
Unless it's understanding people's motives, then it's a 4.
Okay. So I'm gonna say, Maurice, you I think are kind of thrown by her intention and kind of like her savagery, and kind of like the slapdash kind of morality she's trying to apply.
Maurice was totally expecting some remorse.
Yeah, and here's the thing is both Twig, actually, you know what? I'm gonna say, Gav, you understand first off that she doesn't seem to know what she's talking about. It seems like she's kind of uncertain and she's kind of just guessing at things, and she's trying to say things to you that would shock you, and kind of trying to just drive you away. And but Twig, with your kind of critical success, you know for a fact, not only does she not know what she's talking about, she just did this on a whim. she did this probably because she felt this way about her sister deep down. But she did it regardless of whether or not she thought it would actually get her into the Church of Midnight. I'm going to say with that 10, you kind of get this kind of insight, this flash of her intention. It's almost kind of like similar to Scent of Magic, where you know, smells like a bunch of BS, you know, that type of thing.
I think Maurice is kind of grabbing at his temples and kind of flummoxed and a bit defeated, and kind of turns and looks at Gav and Twigg. Do you think we should just go? I don't know of anything else to ask.
And I think Twigg's gonna like kind of they've been leaning against the wall, kind of letting Gav and Maurice do their thing, and at this point it's just kind of actually step forward and just be like, damn, you're really just a poser, aren't you?
And she
do you believe in anything at all, or are you just full of shit?
I don't think she knows a single thing of what she's doing.
Do you know why you're doing this? Why did you do this? Why did you help? Why did you find me in any place? Who does it benefit? Does it benefit you?
It benefited Tristan. He was going to, well, I don't know what was going to happen to him, but he was going to pay for your crime. That's one good thing.
I'm here because of that dude. Like, I'm here because of Maurice. Like, it doesn't benefit me. I'm doing it because it seemed like the good thing to do. And sometimes being good has value.
And at least we're not subservient to powers we know nothing about.
You're bigger fools. Good? What do you see anything good helping you in this world right now? Do you think good is going to set the actuality back? Do you think good is going to make the war go away?
It's not how things really work.
Oh, but it is.
No, you're...
The church wants to set everything back.
What do you mean? What, before the war?
What's the appeal? Murder a bunch of people, have your little dark cabals, whatever it is, get your initiation, feel like you're part of a little fraternity or sorority, and suddenly you feel like you belong somewhere, and that's it? Is that really what you wanted?
It's more than anybody else ever provided. It's more than anybody else gave me. It's more than my sister gave me.
Sounds just like a little club of people drinking a lot of figurative blood and performing a lot of cheap rituals.
Well, you know what? Why don't you go over there? Why don't you ask
I'd
what they're
love to.
about?
Why don't you tell me where they are?
Cathedral of Midnight, Confederacy of Cloisters. I'm sure they'd love to have you. If you dared.
Let's go. We're not going to learn anything new here.
Twigg's going to put their hand on Maurice's shoulder and lean in and just whisper, is there anything you actually want to know?
And Maurice shakes his head and looks at Ella and says, you're trapped in your own story. You could write a new one. It would be so easy. I feel really sorry for you. And he leaves.
I tried! As you're walking away, you ripped the pages out! And scene. So you guys are going to walk out of the holding cells, and that is where we're going to cut to Kyrrie. Kyrrie, what have you been up to since your celebration?
So at the moment, Kyrrie's probably in the Practical Magics lab on the Vantian campus. And what this looks like is basically a typical chemistry lab from the Gray, except that all of the ingredients in this lab, the components, the powders, the solutions are dynamic. They're changing colors. There are bubbling beakers sort of floating about the room in various stages of solid, liquid, gas, ether, other things that the Gray couldn't even conceive of, states of matter. And they're all kind of floating around the lab tables such that should a Vancian student just need something, it's at their fingertips, right at their level. She's probably brushing a sweaty strand of hair out of her face, frustrated because practicums were never Kyrrie's strength. Scholastically, the theoretical is her realm of expertise, but you know, there needs to be a well-rounded education for Vancian students, and so the lab, this sort of chemistry area, while not her field, is certainly something Kyrrie has had to work a little harder at than perhaps other areas of scholarship within the curriculum of the Vance. She's probably casting her cantrip, Page Turner, which is something where you can flip through sheafs of paper or a book to instantly locate the record that you're looking for or the page you're looking for. About, at this moment, concocting leaves of emotion, the theory of how that works, as well as, we'll call it the science. She's probably exclaiming to herself, why isn't this working?
And yeah, it's very Sorcerer's Apprentice, as you're kind of like flipping through books. There are practicum on a chalkboard behind you or kind of floating in place. There are a number of texts scattered all over. There are a number of vials, those material components. And the one thing that you keep on turning up is that it's a very kind of specialized magic. That being said, if you'd like to make a magical knowledge roll, I'm actually going to give you an addition to your venture as well. And you can also apply hidden knowledge if you'd like.
Okay.
So we can kind of give you some insight into this process.
All right, cool. So I have my +1 to magical knowledge, which I can add as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'll go ahead and spend 1 hidden knowledge.
Yep. So that is going to start with 3 on your venture. I'm going to say that this is a difficulty 6 task.
Makes sense given the complexity of the magic we're talking about.
Exactly.
And that's an 8.
Okay. So one thing I want to also kind of be good about is, where does your hidden knowledge come from in this case?
Right. Well, I think in this particular instance, you know, it's formalized magic, so it's probably something that Kyrrie as a Vance has more insight into than other Vizsla who are not affiliated with the Vance, perhaps. I think because it's also about locating information, even if you are not yourself an expert in a field, I would also say this hidden knowledge is probably coming from her librarian studies, where she, as a reference librarian, knows maybe better than some others how to access information that you don't need to store in your brain, but when you need it, it can come to your fingertips.
Absolutely. And I think, I think the thing that is not only have you had this experience, like kind of like looking through and looking for references, you also have this kind of practical experience in and kind of insight into the way King 9 makes his money. And so the way that King 9 typically makes his money is he essentially creates these kind of second tier emotion leaves and kind of passes them off as the certifiable stuff. Now, from your research, from your book research, you understand that Emotion Mills Consortium within Saturnine is the basically kind of like the printing press for all emotion leaves. It's essentially kind of like a mint. You have children working at being very very generously remunerated for basically generating new ideas, because theirs are usually the most wild and kind of their emotions are that much more potent. So they actually basically make the foundation of the Emotion Mills Consortium. And typically a lot of those emotions are consolidated into full leaves of emotion. So this process that you're undertaking is kind of akin to you suddenly realize that you're basically trying to make counterfeit emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like I don't know if you guys have all seen, there's videos on YouTube of people who kind of try to reverse engineer Cheetos and things that are like under patents, and see if, you know, they can. Yes. Oh, it's a lovely series of videos. But yeah, I guess it's effectively like that, where it's completely undecipherable if you look on the back of a Cheetos package, like what that would actually be to create some of those items. And I feel like maybe that's Kyrrie's trying to reverse engineer something that's a closely guarded secret at a corporation that holds that IP.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's exactly it, is you are trying to find out, essentially what's kind of going on for that process. And you realize that your best bet is to either consult the folks in the Vance that may have emotional leaves on hand for ritual ingredients, because you're going to struggle a lot to make them yourself. You can also go to the Emotion Mills Consortium directly and see if you can purchase them with currency. And then finally, another kind of idea that strikes you is that you could probably request a favor from King Nine.
Ooh.
Or you could purchase it at a discount with the advance that
employee
you already
discount.
received. Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. So remind me, Zach, for the long form magic spell itself, for the creation of a concept, what exactly are all of the ritual components? I know I wrote them down at one point, but that we need. I know there are leaves of emotion, but just to get specifics on which kind.
Okay. So for summoning a conceptual spirit, you are going to need incense worth 1 crystal orb, an image relating to the concept involved, elaborate chanting, I believe of your own devising, paint mixed with powdered diamond to create an elaborate rune circle on the ground, which is described in the ritual kind of sheath that you located. That costs 25 crystal orbs. And finally, there are 3 leaves of concept of the spirit or close proximity worth 75 crystal orbs.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So I think maybe why Kyrrie is struggling as well, in addition to the kind of intellectual property, reverse engineering a Cheeto kind of concept, is that she's not entirely sure what concept to go for. She's sort of thinking on this and thinking, okay, what does Basil want this for? Why is he wanting to protect these people, these characters in a story, characters who are blissfully unaware of the catastrophe of an ending that's coming for them? And she thinks of words like reuniting or protection, I think sticks out to her, because after all, it is selfless in a way. He cares for these characters, but he himself is not in danger. It is these people he loves. And so these are the kinds of thoughts which are swirling around Kyrrie as she tries to determine what sorts of leaves of emotion she should acquire. And I think she's going to get a couple, because it's something she wants to talk to Maurice and Gav and Twigg about before it's actually cast. But I think she's going to collect some leaves of emotion, or the ones she's going to gather are going to be pertaining to love and protection.
Okay. So love and protection. All right. I'll put that down. Actually, would you make me an intellect roll? You can spend Bene as normal. I'm going to say that we're going to start the base challenge level at a 7. Anything more than that, and we'll figure it out. And you can add 1 to your venture.
Okay, perfect. So 1 intellect Bene. Ooh, flux.
Oh boy. Okay.
All right.
But here's the thing, is because it's not a spell, you don't actually incur flux.
Okay.
It's only when you roll a 0 on the magic die when things go problematic.
Okay.
So yeah, but I think
not high, but
yeah, I think that the way that this looks is, I think that this is kind of maybe a point of despair for you. You know what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn a card instead. That's what we're gonna do. I will do that as soon as I find my Chrome icon.
Is it going to be Heart of the Cards?
Oh yes, this is definitely Heart of the Cards. The Nemesis, the Devil. Secrets, Ravens, Books and Flame. Temptation, Lies, Charm, Persuasion, and Words. The Nemesis of Secrets is the Prince of Lies, the Devil. Of course, there are many devils. Their commonality is their need to corrupt the world around them. Charming, sexy liars that seek to draw mortals into their own evil. Devils don't kill, they talk. They don't destroy, they tempt. The term devil stands apart from demon in that way. A demon is typically a relatively unintelligent engine of violence and destruction. Devils are far more insidious. Pardon me.
How is every card so goddamn relevant?
Yeah, it's really great. I think that's the thing, is it's hard to kind of pin down, but you're thinking to yourself, yeah, like you're thinking through the logic of this. And I think that what ends up happening there is protection. That's the concept. That's exact. But maybe there's more to it. You're trying to rack your mind around this because it is a quintessentially emotional concept, something that you may not necessarily feel familiar with, or that you feel like you can speak to, just from your kind of relative inexperience with working with people, I think. Do you feel like that's reasonable?
100%. And I mean, Kyrrie, remember, is a stoic. And so, emotion is not her strength. She doesn't really wear the emotion she has on her sleeve. And it makes it difficult to understand because emotion is a language that she doesn't speak very well. And she prides herself on understanding the words. So if there was a devil in Kyrrie, I think it would be emotion is like one of her Achilles heels.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think that in this regard, you've just find yourself confounded by this, I think. What do you do with once you kind of have come to your conclusions here?
Well, I think without myself unable to pinpoint the leaves that I'm even trying to create, which I think has a large part into why it's so difficult to make progress on trying to brew some of these things myself in the practical applications lab. In line with the devil card, I wonder, I think maybe the idea that Kyrrie would consult King Nine is taking root in her brain as perhaps a more viable solution. After all, in her mind, he is a bit of an expert on this, and she knows that. And why would she not use an expert that she has at her disposal?
Absolutely. Yeah, so if you would like, later in the day, you can try to use one of the brothers of the Lacune and make your way back.
Yes, I think I'll do that. But for the moment, while I'm here, can I do a search within the Practical Magics lab to see if any of the other components I need are just here?
Absolutely. Okay. So right off the bat, I'm going to give you incense. Incense is going to be just kind of like an easy thing to grab.
Perfect.
The next thing, why don't you check for, why don't you give me a searching roll? Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what you find. We're going to start the difficulty at a 4.
That's an 8 on the dice.
Okay.
And I have a +1 to searching as well.
Excellent. So you actually do manage to find not only that paint that's mixed with powdered diamond, it's a fairly standard material for creating in-runed circles. You also find a couple of passages pertaining to kind of the standard formula for creating ritual chanting. So kind of like, here's a template depending on your intent. And so it's kind of it's a very quantitative way to create a very qualitative effect.
Ooh, that fits very well.
And finally, I will give you 1 leave of emotion that you do find on hand, worth about 25 crystal orbs. This is going to be... What would you say your emotional state is as you kind of have been coming to your realizations?
I think Kyrrie's own emotional state is probably frustrated. So not maybe not anger in and of itself, but I think she's used to being able to grasp things easily, and that things are logical and follow a specific order, or, you know, she consults this record and the record appears, the book she needs appears. And this seems to be a lot more intuitive, and she struggles with intuition. So because she's struggling, I think not despair, but just sort of that frustration with herself is probably the dominant emotion at the moment.
Yeah, I think that exactly. And I think to that effect, the thing that you most desire and that you most want calls to you, and you kind of feel like this resonance in one of the drawers deep in the practical laboratory's resources. And you realize that it is a leave of clear-headed analysis.
Ooh.
Worth 25 orbs.
Love it.
So mark that down on your sheet.
Will do.
If you don't find a way to incorporate it into the ritual, you could probably trade it. But you might want to actually sign a release for it within the practical labs, depending on your intuition.
Yeah, I think I will. Is there like is this sort of a common practice within the practical labs when someone creates some sort of new thing or finds something new, a new discovery? Is there like a patent process?
Yeah, absolutely. What you would end up doing is you basically are assigned resources based on need. You can check them out. You know for a fact that something this small probably doesn't require too much in the way of resources, but you still probably would want to record it if that is in what you would intend to do.
Yes, I mean, Kyrrie follows the rules of the Vance, and if the rules of the Vance are to denote any materials leaving the laboratory, she will note with exact precision what it is that has been taken and what it is that has been created as a result of those materials, so that it can contribute to the wider research body, and then also if anyone is looking for those components, they know where they went.
Excellent. You get a standard requisition form, and it is required to be signed by a Vance of Magister rank or above.
Excellent. Cool. So Kyrrie thinks, who can I go to for that? Remind me, is there a way to summon Alinea that she gave me, or to talk to her?
You knock on her door 3 times.
Okay, that works too.
Okay.
I'll in fact use my knock cantrip.
Okay.
Which I have.
So you do that. There is no response.
Alinea is not in.
But there is a familiar figure somewhere down the hall that you can see in eyeshot.
All right. Who is said familiar figure?
You see a wobbling pile of books, living books.
Ardenno! Kyrie's gonna walk towards Ardenno.
Yeah. So Ardenno Bookridge seems to be in the process of another task. And then you hear him as he turns to face you. Oh! Velator Kyrrie!
Getting to use my new title, I see.
Oh, I'm going to have to get used to, but with great deal of pleasure.
What brings you outside the library, Master Bookridge?
Oh, just normal duties. I'm seeing to a few administrative tasks. I've been asked by one of the Cantrals to deliver, or not the Cantrals, rather, some of the Magi to go ahead and deliver a few notices to Cantrals. Pardon me.
I know, trust me, the other day I unfortunately mistook the title of the Supreme Magus and I called them a Grand Magus. It was one of the more embarrassing moments I have to say I've had on campus.
Scandal, I know. You met the Supreme Magus.
I did. Yadavastra is as imposing as the rumors say.
Oh, they are quite a force to be reckoned with. I've only heard of their exploits, and I've only gotten to see them at the actual conclave back when they were actual Grand Magus. Oh, what a way! I had no idea it was basically her turn to be elected. Their turn to be elected. It's amazing.
And Kyrrie leans in a little. And get this, Ardenno.
Hmm?
They have incredible taste in books. They had a first edition of Flutio's Bibliography and Bibliomancy.
I would
Right
expect
there.
no less. Oh my. That is exciting. Oh,
It was delightful. Made me respect them all the more. Not that I ever didn't respect the Supreme Magus, of course, but
well, I think that it's a very auspicious sign indeed. And to that effect, someone I can, in hopefully the near future, one day call Magister. What can I do for you, Kyrrie? Is there anything you need? I've actually been giving everybody their test scores. I understand yours were delivered early.
indeed, by the Supreme Magus themselves, no less.
It's delightful.
Yes, I'm actually looking for a Magister above to be able to sign this requisition form for some materials from the Practical Magics lab.
Oh, may I see?
Absolutely, and she proffers the form to Ardenno.
Oh, you're doing some long form magic, it would seem.
Yes, I figured, now that I'm a Velator, I should begin experimenting with some more complex magics. I was just in the Practical Magics lab trying to create some leaves of emotion myself, but as I gathered by undergoing that experience, it was not possible for me to do alone.
I apologize, but if that were possible for any of us, I imagine there would be far more lucrative things we should be doing rather than studying formulae. Not that I would do that.
Well, I just thought now that we have all of the formulae to be able to, in theory, it's just that the formulae themselves are quite complex, and not knowing the precise recipes, there were too many variables in the end.
Emotion cannot be artificed. It has to come from a real place. It's elusive, but maybe one day some enterprising Vance will uncover a way to unseat the emotion mills, but in the meantime,
we must make do with what we have on hand, and as a result, I'll be checking this one out of the Practical Magics library for the spell, rather than creating it on my own.
absolutely. No problem at all. And the signs.
Thank you, Ardenno. I very much appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure, really.
Before you go about the rest of your day and deliver the test scores, I know other Vances must be eagerly awaiting their results, so I shan't keep you too long, but I just wanted to revisit something. A conversation we had in the library before I left, before Zaleska's grimoire.
Yes?
I don't know if you remember, but we had talked briefly about the war, the time before the war. And I know it's not a comfortable subject for you, and I know that was something that became apparent last time, but you said there would come a time when it would be suitable to tell me what you know or what you remember. And I am just wondering if now is that time.
Pages it's darkened as though with age. Essentially kind of where before they were this kind of pristine white with a little bit yellow, as though kind of a beach read, kind of a few pages turned. They now appear like aged vellum. And he says, I did promise that we would speak to you, didn't I, about that? Why don't you follow me to my office?
Kyrrie nods.
And he escorts you to his office. It's very much like Alinia's, but instead of a kind of one of those waterfall, those miniature waterfall kind of bonsai trees, it's really just a number of just more and more stacks of books. And where before you really with Alinia's office, you saw a great deal of kind of non-fictional and practical texts, there are a great number of fiction books. It seems to be that, and some of them you notice are have the kind of telltale sign that they are kind of these insubstantial texts from the gray. a great deal of contemporary literature from this kind of illusory world. Ardenno seems to be very much a student of all manner of literature, even the ones that really don't have the staying power of the actuality. And he takes a cup of tea, or 2 teacups rather, puts them side by side and takes a kettle, and you see very carefully he touches one paper finger to the kettle, and it seems to heat up, and over the course of a minute it comes to a boil, as though he has used a cantrip to boil water. And he sits down, pours you a cup of tea, and he says, "So where would you like me to start?"
Well, how about at the beginning? That's usually a good place for a book to begin, or a story to begin.
Of course. I, like everyone else, don't remember much of the war. I was a postulant. I was young, headstrong, much smaller in the waist, as you can imagine, and he kind of gestures to the spines that have kind of seemed to balloon out over his midsection. And I joined the war effort to fight the enemy. I have a hard time even recalling who they were. I just knew that they were the enemy. That what we did, we fought for the actuality. We fought for truth. I and a number of other postulants were at the front. I remember Celesca actually commanded a contingent of Vances.
You met Zaleska?
I only saw her speak, pardon me. I saw when she spoke to the troops to rally the Vances to the cause.
What was she like?
Powerful, impeccable posture, standing up, straight, tall. I remember watching the form with which she would even do the slightest cantrip. It was so elegant and graceful. You knew that this woman had a command of the Vancian canon. You knew that she would be the engine of its future. And so I joined the cause. The details of battles are insubstantial. They escape me. But for some time, it felt like we were winning. We would have engagements with the enemy, and we would come away victorious, and we would feel that much more emboldened in our cause. And that's when the first hate cysts fell. These creations, if you could even call them that, they were these awful engines of destruction. They would settle into the landscape like some sort of psychic tick, drink its vitality, and it would corrupt land around us. I saw horrible things. I saw my friends mutated into monstrosities that attacked us. I saw people overcome with nightmares that occurred during waking hours. I saw bombs that went off. Time bombs of time. It would leave parts of them aged and decrepit and other parts whole. It was a war against horrifying ideas. And it's a mercy. It's a mercy that the Deathless Triumvirate, they took that memory away. After the war, I found it hard to adjust. Until I met a maker. A man by the name of Abroad. He was in the process of changing himself, you see. Making himself more powerful, more secure. He had transformed himself into some very literal bastion of a man. And he inspired me to take solace in the thing that I love the most and to make it a part of me. To make my nightmares leave me, my memories less substantial and awful. That's why
You weren't always like this. You weren't always made of books.
I was like you. Flesh and blood. Spitfire filled with knowledge and a desire to find out everything in the world. And slowly but surely I took my meager savings, what was left of my family inheritance, my parents lost to the war, my brothers and sisters. And I took, bit by bit, every piece of me that was vulnerable. And I replaced it with every piece of me that I loved.
Oh, Ardenno.
You'll have to pardon me, I'm just a foolish old man. And
Not at all.
tears of ink begin falling down the text.
Do I have a handkerchief in my pocket?
You do.
I'm going to take it out and proffer it to him.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to have asked you to relive this. It sounds awful to have gone through.
It's no less than what everybody else has gone through. I can't imagine being trapped in shadow, having to come back, trying to relearn what it was to be real.
But you remember it. You remember something that people don't. Many people don't. And you call that a blessing that was taken by the Deathless Triumvirate, but certainly the pain was taken, but what of the memories? What of the history? Has that never bothered you that we've lost so much?
I miss remembering the friends that we would celebrate the victories with. I just am left with... I'm left with one of them I cherish. There'd been some sort of engagement or another, and someone had used some sort of quadripartite assault spell and vanquished an enemy before it could deal damage to any one of our compatriots, and it was a whole victory. It was flawless in execution. And it began to snow in Saturnine, and you're familiar with Key Falls, yes?
Oh, yes.
Well, I didn't realize that such key falls could take the form of snow. And he reaches deep into his chest. And he sticks his forearm in up to his elbow, deep, ruffling through pages. And he pulls out a giant snowflake. And he says, "This is my wicked key from that day. I don't dare use it for fear that I'll lose that memory too." We somehow found zeros that night. I was tempted to use the snowflake to open it, but then it did by itself. And the bartender was there, and whatever zero is, they invited us to have a round of drinks on the house. And I remember how exuberant we were, and I remember now how sad they seemed, as though they knew something we didn't. That was the last night before before it got bad. And he takes the snowflake and he puts it carefully back into his chest, closing all of the books.
That's a wonderful and terrible memory, both at once.
It's what I have.
Thank you for sharing it with me, Ardenno.
It's my pleasure. I owed it to you. I did promise.
Well, you could certainly make the point that I perhaps shouldn't have pried, but thank you for trusting me with it, nonetheless, and for showing me the key. I know not everyone reveals their wicked keys, and that it's a very, very personal thing. I've come to see that in my time here, so I appreciate this gesture even more. A thought, or a question, I suppose.
Yes?
Do you have a picture, by chance, of yourself before you changed?
And he once again reaches into his chest and he pulls out the book in which the snowflake was bookmarked. And it's a journal. And you look and you watch as he flips through the book, and there are parts of it that are completely redacted in black ink. But he manages to find one picture, and he opens it, and there are people with black bars over their eyes in what appears to be a group picture of graduating Vances, all wearing the same uniform, all kind of wearing the same rank of postulant on a necklace around their necks. And standing in the middle is a young man, steadfast, good posture, with sandy colored hair and what looks to be kind of a D'Artagnan style goatee. Says, I think that's me. It feels like me.
Kyrrie is in awe. She reaches her hand out slowly. May I take a look?
And he thinks about it, very almost trepidatious to give it. And he hands it over. Please be gentle with it.
Of course.
This book has been through wear and tear. The spine is loose in places. There are threads from the binding that seem to have come loose. It's kind of old leather. It's, if I had to put my finger on it, it resembles... Sorry, I'm looking for something very personal. Yeah, no. It looks like as though it's kind of adorned with a black leather-like material that's seen wear and tear in places.
And I think probably Kyrrie's knowledge of the library and her librarian knowledge as well would tell her its age, would give her some idea of how best to hold it, to preserve it, such that it wouldn't be in danger in any way of tear or injury. And Kyrrie has a very interesting duality happening within her as she holds this book. On the one hand, she's feeling reverence for this text that clearly predates the war, that clearly is something that's from beyond the time that most people can remember. So it's an archival reverence. It's a very logical librarian sort of reverence, but there's something also in tandem with that, and it's something she doesn't entirely have the vocabulary for, but it's connected to the emotional significance of this to Ardenno. And I think those two things together, it's almost as though she's holding like a fragile glass baby that she's almost afraid to turn a page, because on either spectrum of importance, this is very high up there. So she looks at this photograph in the book and kind of takes in Ardenno's countenance and laughs to herself, looks up at him again and says, "You are a very handsome postulant."
And the vellum and age and wear of the pages is gone, and instead there seems to be kind of like almost like a small constellation of red ink in the pages that make up his face as well. Thank you, I suppose. Thank you.
It's amazing to see this, that our institution has this kind of history and grounding. It makes the significance of the torch we carry here, our job in the library, all the more profound. We are beholders of this legacy, you and I. And it's a connection to this past that gives us power as a school and as a society.
I believe that you're right. But maybe that's a topic of discussion for another time.
Of course.
After
all, I'm keeping you from delivering test results. These poor students.
Oh.
They will blame me.
I was going to say sometimes a little bit of suspense does the heart good. Everybody did very well.
Kyrrie passes the book back to him very gently.
As you do, there's a little bit of a charge, almost like a bit of a brainwave that inspires you. You think to yourself, this is a piece of Ardenno, a part of his soul, perhaps, a piece that is barely tarnished, trapped in amber. It makes you think. And on that note, we are going to take our 10-minute break, and we're going to rejoin our three back in the Topiary district. So for everybody just tuning in, I'm going to go ahead and send up both our Discord and our YouTube links in the chat. If you guys want to see the channel, see more shows like this one, which are all pretty good. I really love, I'm not just saying this, everybody's really great. I love our shows. And also if you want to catch up on the prior 16 episodes of The Hole in the World, -1 because that's the lost episode, please check out the links, and we'll be back in 10. See you guys soon. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Hole in the World. Just had ourselves a little emotional scene, emotional interlude as it were. If you are just joining us, we are playing Monty Cook's Invisible Sun. Right now our 4 Visley, typically our 2 apostates, our 1 Vance and our 1 Weaver, are actually waiting to be reunited after some events that have transpired. In this case, we have seen 3 of them solve a murder case in the Topiary district, and 1 who has just made the 2nd degree of Vance, earning the rank of Velator, and at the same time having an opportunity to consult some of her mentors about where she stands in the organization and where she hopes to go. But let's for now rejoin our 3 Visley in the Topiary district after they have spoken to the murderer of Choa Ganadel, her sister Ella, as they've been inquiring about the Church of Midnight, a mysterious organization that may or may not have had a part to play in the murder that transpired. So before we do that, let's go ahead and throw on some music. Yeah, so I take it, have you guys, once you've kind of concluded your business with Ella, do you stay in the office? What do you do?
I think Maurice was kind of heading straight outside. I think he needed to, like, catch a breath after that.
Yeah, Gav was good to leave as well.
Yeah.
I think Twigg is just kind of like disgusted by a person, which is pretty rare. Normally I'm just either like, you know, I kind of get you, or actually go fuck yourself. I think it's pretty rare that Twigg's like, even with King 9, Twigg wasn't as kind of disgusted by a person as this. This is what's new.
Yeah, it was like with King 9, you can tell that King 9 has schemes and stratagems, and this one was really kind of like flailings, like malicious flailings, really, is kind of like, I think, what you kind of got from your insight into Ella's character. And as you're kind of like left with this impression, and as you are walking out of the office, you hear Maurice, actually, you hear, psst, oi, psst, oi.
Maurice tries to look nonchalant as he kind of crouches down.
And once again, you say, oi, up here, up here. And you see poking around the corner once again, that very kind of spindly, strange fellow, Lipping Jack, around the corner, kind of seemingly keeping a lookout for things.
Come on, let's go over to him. Coming.
And he just kind of like signals everybody to kind of meet him in an alley on the side.
Yeah, Maurice goes there.
Yeah.
Twigg is gonna tag along reluctantly.
And he kind of looks. You see Slipping Jack once again, his top hat on his head, this kind of threadbare black suit that he's wearing. Once again, these kind of spindly hands, kind of gesturing almost emphatically, always kind of seeming to be in motion. And he looks to all of you and says, oi, look. I appreciate the Ilari rod. It's very handy to me. And
okay.
Quirkus made a point of pointing that out. And said if I weren't to maybe give you a little something for your trouble, maybe I wouldn't be welcome back in the park. So
Heart Quirkus.
I did some snooping about, and I found something for you. And he produces from this inner lining of his coat a very large, elegant, oversized mask with swirls around the cheeks, a kind of almost crest-like crown in the center, and a expression of certainty and resolution, if you could put your finger on that. And he says, oi, and she also saw some work I did prior to us officially meeting, and I wanted to give you this back. And he gives you back the pile of about 15 crystal orbs that he snatched out of your bag.
Maurice takes it, kind of embarrassed, and then reaches out and grabs the mask and kind of inspects it. Well, what is this?
Well, thing about that is, apparently, they snatched that off of Ella. I did a little bit of reconnaissance, as it were, and yeah, this thing, it's some sort of ephemeral object. Apparently, you can ask it questions. It tells you, tells you some truths, some lies. I figured you might like it. What
Maurice?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's Maurice looks at Gav and Twig and kind of offers it to them. So, do you want this?
Gav takes a look at the mask and is just like kind of like tossing it in her hands, like, well,
and
it could be useful. Maybe it has more information on this church.
I will tell you, I think that if you would like, I think any one of you can kind of try to commune with the artifact and try to identify what it does.
Oh, how do we do that?
You know what? I'm gonna say anybody with knowledge of magical lore, informal or formal, may make a roll. And
I have to remind myself if I have that.
And in order to decipher what it does, you're going to need to beat its level. So in this case, I feel like that's probably
I do.
Yeah. It is a level 4 ephemera if you want to make a roll.
Totally.
I rolled. It was a very helpful 0 + 1.
That'll be a 6.
All right. What you have is Bashella's Masquerade. It is a level 4 ephemera. It is an elegant, oversized mask, and when hung in the air, the mask floats at your eye level and answers 3 questions. 2 answers are always true, and 1 is a lie.
2 truths and a lie, but magic form.
Exactly, and its color is indigo. He says, well, she had it on her. Apparently there's some nasty stuff, but that stuff's kept up locked tight. I can try to get through it, but, don't want to necessarily show myself up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd appreciate if you didn't, like, rob things on my behalf.
Well, fair enough. Thanks again for your lorry rod. It's going to come in handy.
For what exactly?
Well, I made Iggy over here. And he looks back and says, Iggy, come on, over here. And a thought form that is clad as one of Ferre's gardeners appears.
Oh.
It says, look, occasionally Theray has some stuff what needs liberating, and Iggy here's gonna help me out. She doesn't need all that stuff. Nobody needs all that stuff. Really, it's just all about what's inside that matters. Anyway, I gotta thank you. She's not gonna mess any of it, I promise. Either that or maybe decide maybe we make a new topiary district sculpture. Maybe this one, it's shaped like a big spider.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, thank you very much. And I think our business is concluded, right?
Right you are. And he, barely even being told anything, just says, and toodaloo. And he begins walking very fast away.
Maurice kind of grabs at his face again, like, oh, God.
That wasn't a total bust. We've got this. And she's now holding up, like, the mask.
I mean, I'm sure it will come in handy. I guess I want to try and talk to Ashwin again. To kind of tell him about Ella and everything, but I don't know. I'm not feeling so great. I'd like to call it a day, but I guess I'm not really sure what our next move should be. I mean, Twigg, you said Kyrrie was still at King Nine's, or
No,
what's going on?
no, Kyrrie came back with me.
And
Ish. Well, at the same time.
okay. So, I mean, maybe we should find her. What do you guys think we should do?
I would like to try and track down this Church of Midnight. Something about it doesn't sit right with me. There's something very familiar about what I feel like they are trying to do. Attracting the most desperate, getting them to work towards some end of chaos, targeting the vulnerable, targeting people like us.
Would Maurice know, like the cloisters and the cathedral? Would he know if that is in Saturnine or not?
It is. The Confederacy of Cloisters is a district in Saturnine.
Oh,
it is
an
a
entire district.
It is a location where all of the major churches and religious institutions of Saturnine call home. They basically establish their headquarters.
So the world-destroying church has its own headquarters.
Yeah.
Just like out and about. Okay.
It seemed like, and from what little you guys have heard, it seems like the Church of Midnight operates in defiance of everybody that would oppose them.
So while Gav and Maurice are talking, Twigg is just gonna quickly cast Psychic Missive with the additional 1 point, and just be like, and just ring up Kyrrie. And I think I've kind of decided Twigg does the incredibly annoying thing of actually doing this while doing a psychic missive.
New finger phone, who dis?
Yeah. They're from the right era for that to be a thing. And so yeah, look. It's probably the only person that's annoyed by it is Maurice. Actually, it's anachronistic for everybody else.
Maurice is charmed to hell about it.
I think I was more like, I guess that's how the spell works.
Yeah. And, so Twigg just goes, "Hey, Kyrrie, we're in the. Where are we, Zach?
Topiary district.
But where? Oh, we're at the outside the."
Garrett's office.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. That doesn't count for my spell though. Reasons. Because
sure.
I had emotional support wine during Kyrrie's thing, so that it doesn't count.
Excuses here.
You know what? I'm about to have some emotional support cheese as well. So Twigg is just like, Kyrrie, are you dead? We're in the topiary district. We would like to hang. You can respond to this message.
Shout out.
I am going to flip a card as you cast
it is a spell,
which also removes the nemesis card, which is good. I gotta remember to make you guys remember this too. The endless maze, blue and red. Blue is strengthened, red is weakened. Secrets, ravens, books, and flame. Meanings, journey, long spans of time, insanity, inner turmoil. As within, so without. The maze that traps you, slows your journey, forces you to double back, and leads you to where you don't want to go. Might be a physical maze, or it might be your own decision, self-criticism, or self-doubt. To get where we need to go, or to do what we need to do, we have to conquer the mazes we find ourselves in. So yeah, this is typically, I think that this kind of signifies, I think probably the trepidation that you're feeling about maybe necessarily going back to King 9, Kyrrie. And it's kind of like that trepidation and that kind of emotional kind of, the depth of emotion also you felt talking to Ardenno when you just hear this casual telepathic message from Twigg, just like, yo, you alive?
Well, and I think, I'll throw into that as well. I mean, Kyrrie feels trepidatious about the prospect of reuniting with the group of Ragtag Vizsla as well. I mean, I think Twigg less so because of their connection in King 9, but particularly, let's not forget, she showed up at Dream Study and Maurice wasn't there, and that had an impact on her. So she gets this message, and I think she's already kind of in this, emotional state, having talked to Ardenno, and she thinks, well, here's an opportunity. Here's a door that is opening, and you can choose to step through it. Sometimes that might be the riskier thing to do, but here it feels like the right thing. Even though the Vance is home, even though I feel comfortable here, even though all of my friends and mentors and the organization that gives me support and structure and a home has been just that to me these past few days, it's time to step outside of that and walk into the maze, wherever that maze may take me. So Kyrrie clears her throat and she sends Twigg a reply. Twigg, it is nice to hear your voice after this amount of time. I am very pleased that you have checked in on my progress. I have begun collecting the ingredients for the long-form magic spell.
Are we counting words here?
Oh, is there words?
It is not message. It is
okay.
It's similar in length.
It's similar in length. That's
so I get. So she's going to speak really fast, and she's going to go, "Thank you so much for checking in on me." Twigg, like 30 seconds.
Hello. We had a baby eat some boy.
The good news is Twigg is is a very rambling voicemail lever.
Yep, which gives me some time.
in IRL, that's the most annoying thing. But so of course I was like, you know what I'm going to be as a person in character. Yeah.
That. So I'm collecting ingredients for the long form magic. I take it that Gav is with you since you had set off to find her. Is Maurice there as well? ? I have one piece of business left to do, which is to go and collect Leaves of Emotion back from King 9, but I shall rejoin you in the Topiary District as soon as that business is complete. Regards, Kyrrie von Hollingsworth, First Assistant Librarian of the Order of the Vane. Second degree.
Velator.
Yeah.
It's just like in capital letters, like or shout, like telepathic shouting, Velator.
It's like the Esquire of the Vans. Yeah.
God, no more titles for you.
Oh, I am fully dedicated to getting a second grimoire. That way she can be Mother of Grimoires.
Also, I want to just quick shout out to Krifu. Krifu, thanks so much for giving us bits.
Yeah.
Oh boy!
Thanks, Krifu.
Sweet, sweet bits.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, you have been delivered this message, Twig. What do you do?
I guess I'm spending more sorcery points. Yeah, no, the reason why I spent so many sorcery points the first time is because I kept ending the message really early like a jackass. So Twig is just gonna be like, she's around. Should I tell her to meet us somewhere?
I mean, it depends on what our next move is. I need to come clean with you. I have this to take care of for Ashwind, and Maurice pulls out the letter, the invitation from Kenroy, and he says, I really need to go see my instructor, my Weaver instructor. I think he could probably help us figure out what's going on. But also, I really need to get back at it. I need to spend some more time and be stronger than I am, you know? And that's in DM check. How many days?
That is 2 weeks. So the concert for you guys is in probably about 3 days now. And I'd say the Kenroy's ceremony is going to be 10 days.
And how much longer do we have with our stealthy mixed stealth magic?
2 months.
2 months. So you have about, I'd say 59 days left.
All right.
And I'm going to record that as well.
So Maurice, you know, that's all on the table. That's all I wanted to do that I thought I had to do by myself.
I think Twig is going to roll a percentile dice to see how much. No, Twig parses. I think Twig is pretty decent at parsing, like, kind of the emotional state of you guys. And it's just like, you know, I'm really hungry right now. Do you think we could go back to Garver's?
That sounds like a great idea.
So for actual food, not like book food?
Yeah, I eat just like a normal person, Gav.
Are you going to eat the menu?
Maybe.
Yeah, do you guys want to go back to Garver?
I
Let's
don't mind
go.
doing that. I think there's much to discuss and much to plan. Gav's like mimicking that, because at first it looked like you were like giving her like, you know, like.
Yeah.
What
It goes from. This is the Motorola Razr where you could actually like flip it open and not shatter it.
The psychic mist version of that is you've got like a nasty like pinky ring with a like claw on it. Yeah.
Oh, you're awful.
I am.
And so Twig is going to be like, we're heading to Garver's in the Topiary district. I think, do you remember where that is? I don't know, but we're going there. You can find your way, I'm sure. You're good like that. Yeah, I found both of them. They're doing fine. Everything's fine. See you soon. And then just...
Did you just tell her to meet us at a restaurant, like, that we're gonna spend like a maximum of like an hour at?
Yes, we're spending longer there now.
I just want to point out, I actually thought about that before I made that decision. And yes, I did.
I think Kyrrie's gonna receive this message and then just sort of look at it, because I think something of the way that it's sent is like carries over to the way it's received, and so she like examines it in this sort of way.
Yeah, you just like, for some reason you just want to do this. And
yeah,
then...
just like
it's like a buzz in the thumb and the pinky. It just like tingles a little bit, and you're just like, oh, what's that? And then I am so sorry for being me.
Never.
Entirely unhelpful. Entirely unhelpful.
All right. So are you guys heading over to Garver's then?
Oh yeah.
And then
I think you can tell that, like, as like we're walking over there, like Gav looks like she's mulling everything over, but she seems like not concerned about what this Church of Midnight might mean, but there's like a grim set kind of determination about like, oh, this is pretty bad. It's like up there with the Jevin news, but this one she might actually be able to do something about.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been waiting a long time to find something tangible that has to do with memory loss and those that are preying on Vislight that are experiencing similar things to us.
And so as we approach Garver's, Maurice says to Twigg, "Hey, I gave you 10 crystal orbs for the bookstore. Do you still have that?"
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. All right, so we rejoin at Garver's. And are you guys, I take it, are you guys going to just like wait for Kyrrie to arrive?
Maurice asked that out loud. Are we just going to wait for Kyrrie to get here?
I'm assuming there's going to be eating on top of this waiting. So.
Well, yeah. But I mean, I'd like to go back to the safe house soon. I'm pretty beat.
Let's get you a coffee.
Okay.
Yeah, Gav nods.
Okay. And so yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just debating. No. I was making a joke in my own head, and then I decided Twigg wouldn't do it because I'm a bad role player.
Funny joke.
Go ahead. What you got? What you got for us?
Oh, I was just gonna order him a cocktail and then ask for coffee liqueur in it.
Okay. You do that.
Does that. And I think Twigg is definitely going to kind of, once again, give that little scout salute. Just be like, Madame Ficus, upwards at the face of Garver in the ceiling.
And at this point, like, you see when the banyan branches kind of bring down your food, you just hear this very soft, friendly, congenial voice of Garver kind of chime in and say, "Anything you have tonight is on the house. Within reason."
Twigg will literally do that laugh and then just kind of give a glance upwards and just hold their hand over where their heart should be.
At which point, yeah, I think at this point, you just hear Garver say, "We owe you a lot for that, boy. Thank you."
I think Twigg is gonna accidentally eat one menu really fast, and then but in general, order. I feel like Twig's in the mood for a penicillin, which is a really delicious cocktail that you should look up.
Oh, it's my go-to.
It's so good. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
And Twig's gonna order a penicillin, and then we'll kind of like hunch over and just look at Gav and Maurice and just be like, "So, y'all good?"
I mean, we're under the instructions of a guardian of the blue to defeat some sort of insectoid evil that wants to unwrite reality. You at least are being hunted by some sort of mobster. You're working for a mobster. I have a friend that is supposed to, that has a concert hall that's covered in house cancer. And
I went inside that. That's real bad in there.
What'd you see?
Gavin has this moment as she's like drinking her beer that like as that comes out of her mouth, like, oh shit, I never said that.
Wait, when did that? You went in? Yes. Quickly, very quickly. Did it was nearby. I was in the neighborhood. Well, all right, we'll get to that. The point is, Twig, I think we're as good as we can be given the circumstances.
Houses can have cancer?
Oh, it's terrible.
I told you, stop questioning things.
Basically, I mean, look, what helped me a lot is assume everything's alive until you realize otherwise.
That's surprisingly reasonable.
Right? It actually sorted me out real good.
Huh. Anyways, we stuck around at King Nine's for a little bit. I think it doesn't seem like we can do it. Like me and Kyrrie talked a little bit. It doesn't seem like we can do anything about Basil.
Right, Basil. Here's the thing, though. He wants to save his friends that are trapped in his story, right?
I suppose that is noble.
Yeah.
I just wish that he hadn't tried to blackmail us to get that.
But, why can't we just write a new story? I could write a new ending to that story.
Is it that easy?
Why not? I turn tales into reality.
But if it's somebody else's story and then you write a story with somebody who's been made real in that, and Twig predates the concept of fan fiction, so I can't say fan fiction. But that's what Twig's trying to, that's what Twig is trying to parse right now, is the concept of metaphysical fan fiction.
So Maurice is taking a bit of some basket of biscuits that were given to the table to share, and is breaking some off and feeding it to Duncan, and says, well, if what I understand happened to Basil is that his existence was taken from a story and made real. Nothing that happens to that particular story, if the book is destroyed, if the book is rewritten, would affect him. He was taken out and became real at that point in time. He's separate from it. I think if I were able to either erase what had happened or write over it or write a new story, I think that might be a lot easier. I'd have to look into it, and of course it would take some time to write, but I think I could do it.
Well, I know Kyrrie has been looking into it. She wants to do some complicated, fancy things.
All of this is far beyond my abilities. I can use magic. I couldn't tell you how I do it. It just happens.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Samesies.
I want that information in the war report. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Is that what we're...
Not...
Just wondered if that's what we're focusing on now. I mean, there's a lot.
Too much. Look, you know that I don't make any secret of my disdain for this city. I can't profess to love it, and I can't profess to care much about the people in it. But since you all won't leave me alone, you've made yourselves priorities, and I guess therefore I do care what happens to the rest of you. But that being said, this Church of Midnight sounds like a very real and viable threat, and one that is tangible enough that I can do something about it. I'm not good with spell work, with components, with rewriting history and stories, but I can hunt. And right now there seems to be people that are preying on others, and that does not sit well with me.
It doesn't sit well with me either, but I mean, I think this church existing in defiance of everything around it is much stronger and much more of a threat than just you could take on. I would have to insist that you don't do it alone.
I was not suggesting that I do it alone. I may not be the smartest person, but I know that much. I would hope that it would be something that you would also want to see.
I won't leave you again. And I'm sorry that happened.
Gav almost doesn't know, like she's got like the beer like up to her lips, the bottle, and she's just kind of like, oh, I wasn't expecting that moment to happen there. And
Maurice blows right by it, and said, I mean, you know, we have a lot on our plate. There's a lot to do. We could deal with the church. We could deal with the concert house. We could try to find out what's in the war report that Basil's holding out for us. Apparently there are multiple ways we could solve Basil's problem. I don't...
But you see, right? You see what I've been telling you. There's something wrong with this world. They call it the actuality as if you're supposed to take it for granted, but clearly everything is still falling apart despite hiding reality from us. All of it might be connected. All of it might have layers and shadows behind those and behind those doors, and we have to break that down. We don't have any... We have no before. We have no family. We have no memory of what things were like. We have no nostalgia to anything here. We have an opportunity.
I agree. I don't think that the actuality is necessarily... How should I put it? The truth is messy. The truth is inconvenient. The truth is deadly and sad and complicated. Of course, there are all these false turns and dead ends. I think that's the nature of the thing.
You cannot have true reality if you are hiding your past from your own citizens, no matter how painful it is. And that is nowhere more evident in this church than in these cancerous forms in these houses that are falling apart.
You know, I think the Church of Midnight might agree with you.
I'm not looking to take advantage. I'm looking to find answers.
In the war report, we might find answers that we don't want. We might find things that are inconvenient, right?
I don't care.
Do you think that the war... Do you think that it's bad that we don't remember? Do you think that the truth would set us all free?
Why would you hide something like that from your entire population? I think like Gav's like halo is spinning like faster in rotation, and some of like the feathers are like pricking further upwards as she's like getting a little bit more heated, and she leans forward like on the table. I had to leave a place that was full of atrocities, and I lived through one war only to come here and forget another. That does not sit well with me.
Twigg?
The only reason you want to hide the truth to that scale is because you're ashamed.
What if the entire world couldn't live with what it had done?
Maybe the entire world is ashamed of what they did or what they became.
If
It's a world that doesn't exist and doesn't deserve to be. It's a lie.
Maurice shivers and says, "Now that sounds like the Church of Midnight to me."
I am not saying that we round up the innocent people that are just trying to figure out their lives and make them do horrible murders for some sort of initiation, right? Does that sound like what I'm telling you? I'm saying that people deserve to know what they fought for, what their parents died for, what their families died for. People need to have a history and a story, or they don't know who they are. And like, she's fully heated now. Like, the feathers are all up. She's probably like slammed the bottle onto the table and maybe knocked away like the biscuit tray that you were like holding, and probably causing some sort of a scene.
Maurice, you also notice that Gavriel's shadow is moving emphatically behind her.
Maurice comments on that. What's going on with your shadow?
That's really what you got out of all of that?
I'm sorry, no,
It does that when I get a little bit agitated.
Is that okay that it does that?
It doesn't hurt, if that's what you're insisting.
Maurice
She
says,
tries to like take it down a notch and like maybe see some of the other patrons like are staring at her, and she just pulls back in her chair a bit.
Yeah, the Elderbryn come by and they begin picking up the biscuit tin that you knocked over.
Duncan has been like chomping, really like getting into it, eating way too many biscuits.
Twigg is at this point going to just be like, I don't disagree with any of you, but I would like to order appetizers.
Sure. That's
Okay. You do that. We are going to cut back to Kyrrie.
Beautiful end scene.
Good God, guys. Yeah, let's see what we can find here. I think this one is suitably King 9-ish. So, Kyrrie, I assume you make your way to King 9's fortress. So what you do is, once again, you track down the Janosch's brother Grogan in Fartown. And Grogan, once again, kind of understanding that he has been summoned, he had pointed out originally the location of where you could find him. You knock on his door. He understands what you need to do, and he allows you to step through his open portal form back to the entrance of the Candleflame Keep. And it is staring back at you, this massive fortress, as you begin striding with purpose back to the court. What do you do?
Kyrie's going to walk right in. After all, she has a reason to be here. She has credentials. It's as though she's walking between worlds, walking between her Vancian campus life through a portal into another life, equally familiar and yet very different. She steps through, of course, and walks up to the Candleflame Keep, not even registering any of the imposing elements, really, this time that I think all of us had gandered at when we first arrived. And she's going to stroll right into the throne room, her gown billowing behind her.
And once again, I think that King 9 is holding court. He is speaking to what appears to be a very large, magnanimous figure. One that you realized from all of the white, as well as the kind of flowing robes and kind of the wings that not only protrude from their back, but also from the sides of their head, that he is speaking to an angel.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, wrong voice. Yes, I see indeed. You are telling me this prophet is not available at this... One moment, please, Lady Kyrrie.
And he continues business. there is a brief discussion between the angel in hushed tones with King Nine, who seems to be listening and paying attention, rapt to what the angel has to say. And this is much less kind of domineering, much less kind of more like I am talking to someone on an equal playing field. As you're kind of listening in. If you would like, you can try to eavesdrop, or you can stay at attention.
I would love to eavesdrop
Okay.
in an unobtrusive way.
Absolutely.
Also, have I seen an angel before? Or is this the first time I've actually seen a real angel?
This is the first time you've seen one in the actuality. You have read of the angels. Oftentimes, angels, they come from the land of the Silver Sun, the realm of beginnings and the divine. And one thing that strikes you is most angels have a great deal to do with creation. They, either they typify the creation of a concept, or they are strongly associated with a creative drive in addition to their normal duties. They typically serve the angelic queen of Silver Sun. I believe her name is Queen Frangelica, or Empress Frangelica. And so they're having this animated discussion. I need you to make you can either try to do this surreptitiously, you can roll movement to kind of incline your head to listen kind of surreptitiously, or you can just listen incredibly hard and roll with perception. What do you do?
All right. I have currently more movement Bene, I believe. So I think I'm going to do it that way, and I'm going to pump a Bene into it as well.
Okay. I'm going to say for all intents and purposes, this is a 7.
Okay. It's a 7 on the die. Yeah.
Okay. And as you are kind of, again, are listening very hard. It's almost as though you're kind of reading the intent of their conversation. It seems to be that he is discussing a prophet. And the snippets that you get sound like this.
And so, I would like use of this prophet of yours, if that... Maybe we can come to a deal, an arrangement, an exchange of such knowledge.
I see your offer, good King Nine. I appreciate it, but it would have to be of some substance. The prophet's visions, if you might call them that, are quite valuable. If they do not reveal the secret you seek, they reveal a number of secrets that are no less valuable.
Very well. What is it that you ask of me?
Merely some obeisance. A show of strength, that we might know that we have your support in the Silver Sun, that your immeasurable means may be called upon. This favor I might ask of you, O powerful Goetic Lord.
Very well. I must attend to some business of court, but let us speak again, and we shall make arrangements.
And her form flickers, flashes, and disappears as the runed circle around her vanishes, and the court is once again you and King Nine alone.
Mistress
Kyrrie. To what do I owe the pleasure?
Well, I am an employee of your court, aren't I, King Nine?
You are? And
I come seeking an audience, as usual.
Another progress report? Perhaps
Indeed.
Yes?
Well, as you know, I have recently visited the Vance. and can report that everything is being set up for the knowledge transfer between this library and theirs. You'll be pleased to know that that is all going quite well.
His face is completely inscrutable as he looks to you and with these kind of this steel gaze says,
"Ah, good. Very good. Yeah. And so what other business do you have? This is not the only thing you wish to tell me."
Certainly not. Although I wonder if I can be of further assistance to you. You seem to be seeking something. I wouldn't dare to overreach and overhear, but certainly conference with an angel is a very mighty being to call upon for a casual conversation.
Oh, and why not? I am a goetic. We traffic in angels as well as demons and spirits.
It sounded as though you were seeking something. Pardon if it's none of my business, but certainly as your librarian, if it is knowledge you seek...
It is certainly not any of your business at this time. But I could appreciate a perspective.
Please, I'm happy to offer counsel.
In the Silver Sun there is a prophet, and on this prophet is written a great number of secrets every day, and expelled every day. They say there is no means of producing the correct secret, but I wish to test this theory.
A hypothesis.
Yes. I spoke to this prophet's master. I do not like paying too high a price. And to be seen as beholden to anyone in the Silver Sun, let alone any angel or demon, might be chum for the water, so to speak.
Certainly would be compromising your position of power.
Yes, it would. And so what do you offer, dear librarian, to cement a form of strength? A show of it? What insight do you have into the underworld?
there is an edge to his voice as he makes this declaration or this request. You understand that this might be rhetorical.
Right? I am, as you say, but a librarian. My domain, if you could call it that, is in the theoretical. But I know that in the underworld, knowledge also has power. It takes a different form, certainly. But knowledge has power over action, and action is what you seek for a show of strength. Is it not?
What do you have in mind?
Merely that you utilize the information you have in your library at your disposal to put the pressure on the correct people to get that show of strength that is needed. And perhaps you could do so without saying that that is the payment to an angel, without putting yourself in a position where you compromise your own power. That way they get what they wish, but it isn't necessarily visible as by your hand.
An interesting thought.
For what it's worth.
I appreciate your counsel. And now what counsel would you have of me?
Always clever, King Nine. You can always see when there's another side to the coin.
I see everything.
Something I respect about you. I'm looking for more information about leaves of emotion. I know that you are somewhat of an expert on this subject.
Yes, I do traffic in it.
I need a few of them for a spell, but I'm trying to figure out which ones. I tried to create them myself, and chemically it was not possible.
What is the purpose of this spell?
Basil has asked a favor, as you may know, from your prior dealings with him. And it's connected to the reason that he asked you to introduce him to Maurice Webb.
I have already paid a number of favors to this little fiction.
Yes, but you see, King Nine, this proves my point exactly. Your hand is not seen in the success here that Basil receives. It is seen as my gift, the group's, fulfilling of his request. But in reality, should you assist with a few leaves of emotion, it is another debt he owes to you.
Speak plainly, what is this request?
I would like to borrow a few leaves of emotion for this spell.
No, his request. Tell me
His
it now.
request. He wishes to bring his characters, his friends, out of a fictional book.
More? More of little fictions running around?
That is his wish.
Asking for favors. What kind of leaves of emotion?
Kyrrie's gonna think, because she wasn't very clear on this originally. She's gonna think back to that moment with Ardenno, and she's going to think about what she felt in that moment with him. And she's going to say to King Nine, I'm not sure I have a word for it, but it's like love, like protection, a care, a connection, something in that space that is all at once more than any of those words can portray. I would say it is selflessness, but his self is very much buried in this request as well. Protection was the closest I could get.
I will look into this for you. I will produce some suitable leaves, provided that Basil and his ilk do not delve any further into my business. Do you understand?
Perfectly. And, as I know nothing is without its price, Kyrrie's going to walk up to King Nine and put the leave of clear-headed analysis in front of him for your other trouble, in case it is inspiring in some way.
Fine quality. Where did you find it?
Oh, I have my sources.
Very well. I will see to fulfilling your request then.
It is much appreciated as ever, King Nine.
Leave me then. You shall have what you need from Rogan. He will make contact when you return to Saturine.
I'm very pleased to hear it. And, as she turns heel to walk out, do think on what I said, King Nine. I think that advice may prove beneficial in your dealings with angels.
I would hope for your sake that it does.
Always a pleasure.
Likewise.
And as you begin the move to leave, I'm going to turn a card. Compelling voice. The color is invisible. It is a color of protection. Control, domination, persuasion. The right voice can command an army. In word or song, the compelling voice bids us to do something we might not do otherwise. It moves us, frightens us, appeals to our sense of reason. Those who master such a technique have a weapon in their arsenal equal to any other. And as you are leaving the courtroom, the compelling voice you hear is that of Avelia's. My father, you should not have told him that that was for Basil. He's going... And you feel Avelia's hand, her golden skin kind of glimmering as you seem to be eye shot away from King Nine, and she pulls you into a darkened corner of the keep's halls. If you accept those leaves from King Nine, from my father, it could sabotage whatever you're trying to do. He hates Basil. What are you trying to do?
What Basil has asked of us.
He's asked to pull everyone out.
Yes. It is his dearest wish.
Whatever my father will give you will not be protective. Let me do this instead.
Kyrrie parses the logic and sees Avelia's point. You have a stake in this, Avelia. You love Basil. Of course I'll take your leaves over his.
Whatever Grogan gives you, you can use it for something else. Don't use it for whatever this is. I'll come to the city later. Find a way in, okay? Just wait for me. Don't trust what Grogan gives you.
You have my word, Avelia.
Thank you. And she lets go of your arms and begins hastily walking towards her quarters down the hallway. And we're going to cut back to our three in Garvers. It's been some time. You guys have not seen hide nor hair of Kyrrie. What do you do?
How much longer are we gonna wait?
Twigg, can you get the hold of her?
I can try. And let me. I'm just gonna refresh my sorcery pool.
Yep, you do.
Hey there. Hoping you're not dead. So we're at Garver's right now. Just checking in, making sure everything's okay. I guess I didn't really think about it, but I'm sorry if you felt pressured to show. I just kind of stumbled into them when I got back, and I just assumed. So I hope everything's okay. You can respond to this message.
Where does this message find me, Zach?
I think it is after your meeting.
Okay.
It is probably probably you find yourself back in Saturnine at this point.
Okay. I'm going to go to Garver's rather than respond.
Okay. So I think as you guys are moving to settle up, which you don't have to, once again, the Elderbrand kind of remind you, you are on your way out the...
I would like to leave a tip. As always, if you get something on the house, you tip as if you paid the whole thing.
Absolutely.
Good man.
So Twigg will tip. How much would be appropriate?
I think 5 crystal orbs is fine.
All right, definitely gonna use the
for-
crystal
for-
orbs that Maurice gave me.
Yeah, for all 3, or you can, if you wanted to get more granular about it, like 20, 30 glass orbs. You don't have to go whole hog. Whatever you are able to give.
Fight the fucking power. Fuck capitalism. Twigg's gonna tip as is appropriate.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys are on your way. The open arbor way leading into the restaurant is, I think, at this point where you guys cross paths with Kyrrie.
Maurice says, "Oh, there she is," and I think Duncan is running up to you.
Look, finally decided to show up.
Kyrrie looks at Duncan and scritches him on the head, and kind of looking past Maurice a little bit, says, Twigg, Gav, and And Maurice, how lovely to see you again.
We solved a murder.
Oh? Did it live up to your tall tales?
I mean, yeah, actually, it did. Gav shot her freaking arm off.
Well,
That's very impressive. I don't think I could achieve that feat.
Anyway, what have you been up to? Oh, no, let's walk and talk. Well, let's go back to the safe house. Yeah.
Kyrrie thinks about it a minute. Yes. Why not? Seems good a place as any.
So Maurice is leading the way and says, what have you been doing?
Well, I've just come from King Nine's, if you must know.
Did you stay there the whole time?
No, certainly not.
You went back?
I had to get spell components, as you know, as I told you in my return message, Twigg.
I mean, I was busy.
He didn't tell us what you said.
You were busy. I see.
We were eating. It was important.
Oh, yes. Important enough that you could send me 2 messages whilst you were at the table, and yet you couldn't convey the contents of the message that I returned to you to the rest of the people in the party.
Yeah, why didn't you?
It didn't. I thought she was going to show up, and then...
No matter. I have taken care of it all. We have all of the ingredients, or nearly all of the ingredients necessary to perform this spell for Basil, and so... Thanks very much to everyone else. I have gathered these things, and we can take care of this for him and finally have that off our plate so we can see this war report and what's in it.
Which spell?
The spell for Basil.
Yeah,
it's a long form spell. Yes. Did Twigg not tell you about any of this either? We found a spell to do what he wants.
What, Zach? What was my entree?
Your entree. In addition to eating one menu. I think you also really like the death bean chili from last time, but you could also have some comfort food like beets on toast, or what was that? Or you can have some thought of veal stew, and that like essence of veal stew.
I like the essence of veal stew. Can I get essence of cruelty-free veal stew?
Oh yeah, no. All meat food is cruelty-free in Saturnine, unless you are dining.
Yeah, but I want that extra. I want that extra little bit of smugness from cruelty-free.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's like labeled fair trade, cruelty-free.
Yeah.
Essence of veal stew.
That being said, also like veal is kind of fucked up, like IRL, but like So like I'm talking shit, but also stares at the viewers.
So was it a ritual?
Yes,
or...
it's a long form ritual. We discovered it in King Nine's library, as I said we would. And you hear the ice to Kyrrie's voice a little bit.
Yeah, Maurice is struggling to kind of keep his composure here. Oh, okay. What's the spell called?
Zach, remind me what the spell is called.
Summon a conceptual spirit.
Summon a conceptual spirit.
Cool. When I guess, yeah. When should we? When should we do that?
Well, we still need some of the leaves of emotion, which is what my last trafficking with King Nine was about. And from my understanding, and you can hear actually a little bit of like a shakiness to Kyrrie's voice here, my solution potentially would have landed us all in deep difficulty. It's only thanks to Avelia that we may now have a real solution. King Nine, I had entreated King Nine to provide us with the leaves of emotion necessary to complete the spell, but
you told him the entire plan.
Well, I told him what was asked of us.
Oh my god, Kyrrie.
Yeah, I was just like, laugh. That was like an in-character laugh for sure.
Why do you trust this? He's well, he's not literally a demon, but he's a demonic person.
Well, he's shown me a whole hell of a lot more support than any of you.
So you just decided to tell this random gangster that your plan because we had one disagreement on how to get something done?
I decided to tell him, well, number one, he's quite imposing, as I'm sure you have realized. And in the moment when he asked, there was no way to refuse the truth. He would have known, should I lied.
Look, I'm sorry for leaving, but I mean, you wanted to stay.
I wanted to find the answer, which was in the library.
I mean, sure, good job, but like I don't want anything to do with King 9. Can I just say that, like, right now?
Oh,
I don't ever want to go back there. I don't want to make any more deals with him. Two people that I care about are apparently working for him now, but I don't want any part of that.
I suppose I regret that I was not more political. And I think Avelia was successful. Or, see, Avelia is the reason that we will have the leaves of emotion we need, and ones that perhaps are not tainted.
I mean, I want to talk a lot more in detail about what even's going on with these spell ingredients, but first and foremost, like, are we cool? Because I'm getting a lot of hostile vibes from you, Kyrrie.
I don't know, Maurice. I tried to contact you in Dream Study, and you didn't come.
Did you try to let me know that it was happening?
I thought you would be alerted. In the past, you had always been able to attend Dream Study.
Yeah,
whenever it was cast.
Oh, because we had agreed to study something at night. I mean, it's like you threw a party, you didn't send me an invitation, and got mad that I didn't come.
And yet, you didn't provide me with any way to communicate with you. You just walked out the door. How exactly did you expect that I was supposed to magically be able to tell you that Dream Study was happening? I tried to reach out to you, and all I got in response was silence.
Look, I mean, it's been a long time since we've done a dream study together, but every time it was something we agreed upon beforehand. I didn't do anything to snub you or to leave you alone. I just needed to get out of there, and I thought we wouldn't be able to talk to each other for a while, but I had some stuff to take care of. You
sought me out, Maurice. You pulled me away from the Vance. And here we are.
Okay. You're putting this on me? The Imperial soul is my fault? I just knew who you were. I mean, this is not... And Maurice, flubbers and...
It's at this point that you arrive at the door of the safe house. I say the door, but really the trash can that leads into the safe house.
That's so apropos.
Well, whoever fault this is, I guess we'll talk about it in the morning. And Maurice gets it to a trash can.
Yep. Do everybody follow suit?
I feel like the two resident apostates during that whole thing were like walking like a step behind and just sort of exchanging like...
It's that uncomfortable moment where we're very, very comfortable. We're both very comfortable with like violence and like fucked up adrenaline situations, but this is just
an emotion and whole emotion.
Yeah.
A emotion?
I've never seen one. Never felt one.
One might say leaves of emotion.
Oh, no. Okay. So you guys all... sorry, go ahead.
I actually unplugged my headphones, but I don't think Twigg is actually going to go into the safe house.
You don't? Okay.
I think Twigg is not yet ready to fall back into this, and I think also this tension is frustrating and also kind of scary in a way that they don't really have the tools to describe. So I think Twig is just going to kind of like look at Gav and just be like, good luck with that.
Where are you going?
Oh, I'm going for a walk.
Are you coming back?
Maybe. I'll be back in the morning.
I'm assuming that we're the last two.
Yeah, like
Because we're probably arguing as we go into the trash.
as you go into the
Gab has the lid off of the trash. I'm into the trash can, trash girl, and looks up at Twig and is just, look, I know everything is a bit of a mess. It's probably going to be a mess for the foreseeable future. But you really shouldn't be out wandering alone, despite the new magical effects. And that's when she will reach into her pocket and pull out that note.
So I think at this point, Twig kind of runs their hand through their hair, and notably, it's very dark blue right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are we noting it up?
Oh yeah, I'm making a note.
The note has been made a note of.
No, I wrote
Duly noted.
what the actual note
Oh,
said.
very noted. Triple noted.
Is anybody a notary?
I might be notarized to be a notary. Sorry,
God.
I'm sorry,
It's a
guys.
Noted.
Yeah, it's the message that she can't read, but you might be able to.
So Twig is just gonna kind of quizzically looking like,
I went looking on my own for information about Jaren. I told you that. I have some contacts in the Undersling, mostly mercenaries, bounty hunters, a bad crew. But there are fighting pits there. People hear things, and people pass things around.
and Twig will just reach out and kind of.
I do not know why so many people are interested in you.
I wish I knew. I'm just really tired.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one that's tired. I want answers about the way that this world works, about who we are. It's gone past my abilities to brush off the idea that we're not all connected in this somehow. I think we're going to need to stick together, if only to find the answers that we all want.
Twig will take that note and is going to hold it and just kind of looks at Gav and goes, I'll be back in the morning.
Alright?
Promise.
I get up very early, I'll know.
Gotcha. And they'll turn and sidle off into the topiary. I think
Gab will throw herself into the trash.
And on that note,
Gavriel, as you walk through the trash, you see Maurice grappling with what looks to be a room-wide spider web that seems to spell out a gigantic M. And
That's some Weaver.
that's
Wow.
wow, pulling it out.
So it's
Go.
go. I just did a DM hat trick, I think, tonight. But yeah, I think that everybody's desperately trying to pull down the spider web and get ready for the evening as you guys all settle in. But before we conclude tonight's session, Twig, do you open the note?
I think Twig walks for a ways and finds kind of like a quiet spot somewhere where they can like ideally lean up against a tree or find a comfy looking bench. And they'll open the note.
As you open the note, what look to be these hieroglyphic style symbols coalesce, and they begin swirling off of the paper, forming a roughly humanoid shape that coalesces into a holographic specter looking at you directly in the eye. A face with two eyes of silver, half of it clad in silver. It's hard to make out the details, as it really seems to be kind of this luminescent specter that looks at you as you have opened up this addressed note. And with an even cool gaze, it looks at you and says, "Twigg, so glad you finally got my message. I tried to find you the hard way, the unsportsmanly way. Comrade, it's been a long time, and you have information I need about the Pathwalkers and the war. I'll be waiting for you at Silverjack's in the Hollow. I'll have a table set aside. You and I will talk like comrades in arms, like we used to." And the form shimmers, and the hieroglyphics disappear. And that's where we're going to end tonight.
Yo!
And guys, I think because we're running late, it's about 7:35. We promised to conclude around 7:30 tonight. I am going to go ahead and skip recaps. If anybody has we'll do that offline. But if anybody has a minute and wants to give a quick shout out, go ahead. I will turn off the scary music. And yeah, anybody who has shout outs, thanks so much to everybody. Thanks so much to Krifu for giving us a few bits. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. Really loved having everybody here. Would love to see you guys more in chat and on the stream later. Shout outs, everybody. Anything going on?
Two friends of the stream, Encounter Party, a Ravnica D&D podcast. Check it out. Also a podcast friend of the show, Party of One. Jeff Stormer is great. Party of One pod. Check that out.
Nice. Anybody else?
Back here Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. I believe it's our penultimate episode for the School of Evil.
Are we on 5 or 6?
Monster Hunts campaign. It's 5.
Yeah,
it's
5.
It's been
yeah,
flying.
penultimate. That's what penultimate means.
That's what I said.
It's been flying. I love you guys' show so much.
Time isn't real.
Not really, no. But you could still watch us be angsty teenage monsters.
So
in a
angsty.
setting, and it'll be great. Hope to see
It's
you
so
there.
good.
And I'll throw, I guess, because this is the last episode before it releases, check out the Princess Project on DM's Guild. It comes out on May 4th. A lot of amazing people involved in it. A lot of really cool adventures for your table about princesses taking all the power and being hella strong. So check it out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I just said hell yes. Sorry, I said that poorly.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us in light of all the kind of like crazy times going on all around us. It really means a lot that you guys tune in. It means even more that we get to play this game for you about wizards and spellcrafters and mages and the surreal world that they live in. But no matter where you are, no matter what world you live in, I hope and I pray that the invisible sun shines on you all. Good night.